And welcome to the East Lyme Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 17th. I would like to welcome you all and ask that you stand if you are able and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. The additional agenda and consent calendar items, I have one item that I would like to add to the agenda. If you don't mind. You have a motion? You have a
Yeah,
motion
I'll
for
move, you want to move to add item 2D, Resolution 18 Hill Road Septic, to the July 17, 2013 Board of Selectmen agenda.
Second.
that? Thank you. Made and second, is there discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you so much. Next item would be delegations. Anybody like to speak to the board under public delegations? Ms. Wade, or do you have a report for us, Mr. McCullough?
No, I would just like to discuss the new web payment site, the new web payment site that we have on the.
Yeah, we should have that first.
I imagine you're gonna be a little longer than Mr. McCullough. Would you mind if we went with him first? Okay, how's that? Go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm John McCullough, East Lyme Tax Collector. I'm here tonight just to talk about the new website for online bill payment. Through this website, you'll be able to make accurate bill payments without having to have a bill in hand. To do this, you just go onto eltownhall.com. You look to your right, go down 3 lines to tax payment and history. Click on that. That'll take you to the tax collector page. You scroll down to make tax payments here. Once you click on that, you'll see a disclaimer. When you agree to the disclaimer, you'll come upon a site where all you have to do is put your last name, uppercase, lowercase, in there, or the list number if you choose. You would lead with 12, which is the current year, followed by R, M, or P for real estate, motor vehicle, or personal property. Once there, it's much like online shopping. You can pay part of a bill, multiple bills, and it's very similar to our old system, the ACH system. So if you have a password and ID, you can use the same ones you used previously. But it should be a very effective way for people to make payment without having to worry about where they left their tax bills. I'd also like to point out that a few years ago we introduced Lockbox, and this month in July, over half our payments have been made through Lockbox, which means there are 4,000 bills processed, which are 4,000 bills the tax office didn't have to process. And it goes directly into the general fund, so the town has access to it immediately. Thank you.
John,
Thanks.
could you just describe what Lockbox is?
Yes, Lockbox is a system we have with Webster Bank, where it located in Hartford. That's why there's some confusion when people see the envelopes dated, addressed to Hartford. It goes to Hartford, they're processed there, they go directly into Webster Bank, which accesses them into our general fund. So they don't have to come through us and then wait a few days before we have access to the funds.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Any
you very much.
Okay,
Thanks, John.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wade, for your patience. Would you like to speak now?
Good evening. My name is Sally Wade, 392 Boston Post Road, East Lyme.
Good evening.
I'd like to ask the Board of Selectmen to adopt an ordinance similar to Basra, Connecticut, declaring yellow groove bamboo a nuisance, requiring containment with a 40-foot setback. This bamboo is very invasive, fast-growing, it spreads underground and destroys infrastructure, vegetation, including trees. It takes over entire neighborhoods, it devalues properties, as it is very difficult and expensive to eradicate. It grows 30 to 45 feet tall. It is a major nuisance during storms as it collapses into power lines and roadways. A 40-foot property setback is very important as the containment barrier for mature bamboo tends to fail. There are currently 16 properties that I know of in East Lyme with yellow groove bamboo. This is a problem that is not going away, and if ignored, will grow exponentially into a huge problem that will cost East Lyme taxpayers a lot of money. We handed out packets of information for yellow groove bamboo, and there are photos in front of you of properties that were destroyed with yellow groove bamboo. And there are other towns considering and going through the process of enacting ordinances. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your information and your time. Anyone else like to speak under public delegations? Ma'am?
Good evening. My name is Terry Groff. I'm with the Institute of Invasive Bamboo Research,
Good evening.
and I live in Preston. And we have a serious problem. There's not too many towns in the state of Connecticut that are safe, so to speak. Right now, we're up to number 700 plus documented invasions. These are scientifically documented as to species, Latin name, whatnot. My job as a field researcher is to go out, view the properties, take multiple photos of them, identifying the species, the location, and the size, and the proximity to water sources, either water lines, septic lines, any kind of sewage lines, anything like that, inland waterways. And I see that the town of East Lyme has a serious problem, not only with private properties. I have documented 12 properties, and you have the listing of those 12. I have also been made aware of 6 others that I have not totally documented. I haven't visited those sites yet, so I did not list them on your page. But when you get into this specific bamboo, just the Phylostachys, the reason that the state of Connecticut determined it to be a dangerous plant is because it spreads underground so rapidly. It spreads 20 feet a year. What you see above ground, this is like an iceberg. Only a small amount of it is above ground. So if you see a huge stand of it, like the FAR board over by the recording secretary, you're going to have serious problems. That's at the corner of Egret Drive. Some of those, it's going to be up through the road surface. It goes through asphalt. It goes through 12 inches of concrete very easily. That's single pour concrete. I have photos of barrier failures in several different towns. Right now, there are 19 towns that are considering adopting the Basra standard of a 40-foot setback. The thing that in your packet that I have left for you is not only the Basra law, a 40-foot setback, but the other good thing that we have added to and recommend adding to the Basra law is making the entire definition under the ordinance of bamboo so that it simplifies the species so that it is strictly the Phylostachys. It's not all the bamboos in the world. It's only the Phylostachys that we're interested in containing or eliminating. In an ideal world, it would be banned. This is only the Phylostachys. The wording, we have changed that under Section 1 definitions so that it matches identical to the state law. Now on page 2 of the Basra law, under Section 4, paragraph C, we have also added all rhizome disposal must be by incineration only and not composted. That's what happened in the town of Greenwich. They went ahead and composted their roots as they dug them up, and then the town workers went over and they got all of this lovely compost and spread it out around the beautiful rose bushes in the town parks, and it just spread bamboo all over the place. What a mess. So we wanted to add that also. The good thing about the bamboo ordinance in Basra is that the town of Basra has the responsibility, once a homeowner determines that this is onto their property, it's a nuisance, comes under the nuisance laws, just as a barking dog is a nuisance, and just as people trespassing on your property is a nuisance, this would come under the nuisance law. The state of Connecticut law, you have to take the offending party where their bamboo came over onto your property, you have to take them to court. That could be as long as a 2-year process. It's not so much the time frame as it is that the bamboo is now 40 feet closer to your property. And since the bamboo, when it is mature and storms bring it down, a 40-foot tall piece of bamboo is right down on the road surfaces. We have that around state. It falls right down into culverts, blocking culverts and doing things like that. So that's the reason that they chose the 40-foot. It wasn't just a figure that they pulled out of the sky. When someone complains to Basra that there is this problem, the town goes out, verifies the problem, and they send a registered letter to the homeowner telling him that he has 30 days, him or her, to remove it from their property line. After day 30, if it hasn't been removed, then the town collects a fine, and that fine is $250 a day. You don't have to collect $250 a day fine. Some towns are saying that's too much, and then we get into towns that are saying $250 isn't sufficient. What they're doing is they are recommending a $1,000 fine, court costs, and 30 days in jail. This is how bad it is spreading all over the Northeast. Now, the reason that it does thrive so well in the state of Connecticut is because we are on the same latitude of where this timber, running timber, bamboo comes from. It's an easy way to determine the species on this. As you see the growth rings on the closest photo board over there, the growth ring has got a solid membrane inside. Each growth ring, that prohibits anything from being introduced to the roots. This plant has been around for more than 40 million years. Mankind isn't going to come up with a chemical that's going to kill it easily. They didn't even kill it when they sprayed it with Agent Orange. All they did was defoliate it. Now, we've also found that bamboo has got those same chambered off areas in the root system that prevents anything from being injected into the ground and killing the roots. The only way to remove the bamboo is by digging it up, and that usually involves an excavator. Now, once it has been excavated, we don't want you to put it on a truck or have the landscaper put it on a truck and haul it down the street and have all these roots, fall all over the place. 6 inches of root will totally fill 1 acre of land in 7 years and 2 months, and a cat won't be able to walk through that property. Now, the value of having the Basra law is that the town of Basra takes care of all this. The state of Connecticut law, as it is right now, you have to go to court with that. And we've got so many elderly people, so many people, when you talk to them about contacting an attorney to send a cause of action letter, their eyes glaze over, they don't want to hear it. Or they don't have the finances to be able to contact an attorney to do this. And that's why, as the voters need help, and they need help from their towns, and that's why we're going town by town to get this. We have several towns that are very, very interested in establishing a law. The one town, they don't want the town employees to go in and remove the bamboo roots.
Right.
Another town said that they prefer to have a professional landscaper do this, just for liability reasons. For anybody who is working around bamboo roots, and I try to get to as many public works departments as I possibly can, I tell them, when you are working within 12 inches of the root surface, that you should wear a simple mask, a simple dust mask. You don't need a fancy respirator or anything, because bamboo forms a mini climate of fungus and moisture, mosquito breeding, and that's why birds like to sit there, because birds feel protected in that area. They produce waste that fertilizes the bamboo even more, But when you've got all of this mini moist climate down there and you dig around in there, you're exposing your workers to histoplasmosis, which is a fungal lung disease, and they will be on an antifungal, and it will raise your town costs for your town employees. A simple dust mask will eliminate that problem, and throwing away the dust mask at the end of the day. There has been a town that 3 town workers were in very serious respiratory distress, and within 12 and a half hours, 2 schools that were downwind, administrators all the way on down to custodians, visitors, students, everybody, they were flooding into the emergency rooms because they all had this respiratory infection. So we want you to be aware of that so that you don't have to worry about coming up with workman's comp. OSHA is behind the curve. They haven't gotten this message yet. We're trying desperately to get them to realize this. And that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming this evening.
And I would like to leave the board on the far end over there with your tax department so that it is in front of your tax. So people, as they come to town hall, those few that pay taxes the old-fashioned way, they can look at that and they can be educated. Our goal is strictly education.
Okay, well, we have a nice area right outside the door that we'll put it. Thank you very much. Mr. Mingo, would you like to speak under public delegations?
For those of you who don't know what bamboo looks like, it's there in the corner. In that pile is 2 different types of bamboo.
What is your address again, sir?
397 Boston Post Road.
Thank you.
There's bamboo that's called clumping bamboo, and there's bamboo that's called trailing bamboo. And there are 4 species of trailing bamboo that will grow in the state of Connecticut. First, I'm going to start by telling you I'm an advanced master gardener. I'm on the State of Connecticut Invasive Plant Working Group. I work with Dr. Ellis at UConn. I chatted with the people at UConn over the bamboo issue. This is a list of invasive plants in the state of Connecticut. 2 pages. You won't find bamboo on here. There's a reason for it. Because it doesn't transfer from seeds. It doesn't move from point A to point B, only by rhizomes. So, and I don't disagree with the lady here that we have a problem in town. If you go to the West Main Street pump station, which I cut a piece of bamboo out of there today, and I've been telling the town engineer for 2 years that we have a serious problem there, but it goes in one ear and out the other. It's starting to grow through the shingles in the back of the building. And if it finds a crack, it's going to get in the pipe. So I don't disagree with them. However, the town of East Lyme shouldn't be in the business of creating an ordinance. It's strictly a civil matter, and that's the way it should stand. There are 1,400 or 1,500 species of bamboo in this world. Some of it is good. I mean, if you Google bamboo on the internet, you'll find pages and pages and pages of nurseries that sell it. Okay? Do we need to deal with the trailing bamboo? Yes, we do. You have bamboo on the corner of Patagonia Lake. That bamboo is clumping bamboo. I have bamboo on my property. It's been there for 10 years. Actually, it came originally from the DuPont estate on Fisher's Island. Charlie Hirschman from Patagonia Backhoe moved it from there to, which was then the Golden Horse gift shop on the entrance to Patagonia Lake, and that's where that bamboo came from. That is clumping bamboo. It's not listed as it's not considered an invasive bamboo. When you read the public act here that the state of Connecticut just passed, and I've been in contact with the people at UConn trying to stretch this out, it's going to be very, very difficult, even though a lot of bamboo has the same characteristics of the green stripe. I'm just going to let it go at that. These are what the experts at UConn tell me. In the bill that the state of Connecticut passed, they gave the authority to the tree warden to mitigate. They gave the authority to the wetlands officials to mitigate. By state statutes, the tree warden deals with trees and shrubs, does not deal with grasses. Tree warden has no authority except on town property, doesn't have authority on state highways, doesn't, unless the Parks Department gives him authority, doesn't have authority in the public parks. The wetland officer is also a state-appointed official, and he deals with wetland issues. It would take an ordinance, it would take a change in the wetland regulations in order to include this bamboo, and somehow that the wetland agent can go out. Now, number one, he's not allowed on anybody's property, and neither is the tree warden. He has no jurisdiction on private property whatsoever. So the law that the state passed is totally flawed, totally unenforceable, and the people in the DEP know it. Matter of fact, when I asked the question, it was told, go back to your first selectman and let him determine who's going to enforce the law. Do we have a problem? Yes. But to me, it's a civil matter, because every single one of these invasive plants, somebody planted. A lot of it the state of Connecticut did. Tree of Heaven, example. Burning bush, autumn olives. State of Connecticut, DOT planted it. So, I don't disagree with the lady. We don't need an ordinance. That would be foolish. It's a civil matter, and that's the way it should be handled, period. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just a total waste of time. And even the law that Basra has, they're never gonna be able to enforce.
All right.
Thank you. Something dropped, I don't know what it was. Oh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mingo. Would anyone else like to speak under public delegations? Mr. Wade.
Dan Wade, 392 Boston Post Road.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. The point with bamboo is it is a town issue. The stuff is spreading on town property. It's going to jump from private property to town property to state property. If something isn't done, most people probably can't afford to litigate this stuff. Drag it out. Lawyers are going to make their money 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I know a lady in Seymour, she's been fighting it for 10 years. Her property value has gone from here down to here. You're losing 70% of your property value. Guess what's going to happen to the town taxes? That's going to go down. Something needs to be done. We have a noise ordinance that was passed. We had no problems passing that. There shouldn't be an issue with passing an ordinance to contain something that can destroy somebody's property in its entirety. Septic systems, wells, driveways, all that stuff can be infiltrated and destroyed. I got a friend at work that his father planted some of this stuff in his front property, 25 by 25 area. He let it grow for a few years. Well, after he learned about the stuff, he hired a contractor to remove it. They rented a machine. The first machine wasn't strong enough to pull it out. They rented another machine. They broke the hydraulics on it. Finally, the third machine was big enough to remove this stuff, to excavate it out of there. Once it sets in, it grabs hold, and it's difficult to get out. So you really need to consider this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Anyone else like to speak to the board under public delegations? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the next. These are photos?
Yeah, East Line property for bamboo.
Do you need these photos
No,
back?
there's a few.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
I have a list I can give, I'll give it to Geisha, a list of properties that I found that have it.
All right, have an email, you can send it. Thank you. No other delegations? Okay. Next item then will be approval of minutes for the special meeting of June 19th, 2013.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the special meeting of June 19, 2013 as submitted.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Hardy. Any discussion on these minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstained? Motion carries. We have 6-0. The next item would be the approval of minutes for the regular meeting of June 19th, 2013.
So moved.
Motion is made. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain, Mr. Seary. 501. Next item would be the consent calendar. Is there a motion, please?
Move to approve the consent calendar in the amount of $830.67 for the meeting of July 17th, 2013.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded, Ms. Hardy. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Next item under new business, number 2A, is unaffiliated COLA. This is an item that deals with the potential raise for those members, staff members of the town, department heads, and unaffiliated and elected officials and unaffiliated members that may be entitled to any benefits. This is a conflict of interest to me, as I would be subject to receipt of any of this, so I'm going to recuse myself and turn the meeting over to Mr.
Nickerson.
Nickerson.
It's still Nickerson. I'm keeping my maiden name. Myself and Mrs. Hardy make up the subcommittee, as you, as this commission knows, and Mrs. Hardy, I'll give you the floor to describe what occurred, or if you'd like to.
All right. We met several times with members of the group that would be affected by this, and we're recommending a 2.5% flat raise with no other changes in any of the working conditions. That's it. Very simple.
That's correct. That's correct, and it would appear, and we, of course, we met with the an affiliated group and their representatives, at least those that showed, and it looks to be a favorable setup for all parties. So I don't know. I think we do take a motion on that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I guess I'll make the. Oh,
I was just going to ask, was there any discussion of splitting it 1.25 from July or January?
No, we decided straight up, as there were no other conditions attached to this. It's just straight monetary.
Well, it's still all monetary. It reflects what the union got. So that's what I would be saying. That's why I'm asking.
Mhm. Our decision was 2.5%.
July 1st.
July 1st.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
In
thank
this
you.
case.
Yep.
So I'll need, I guess I'll make a motion, move to approve the COLA raise of 2.5% beginning July 1st, 2013 for unaffiliated, for the unaffiliated manager group in the town of East Lyme.
I'll second that.
I usually say unaffiliated employees.
Employees. And it's been seconded. Darlene, is that motion okay? In years past, we've had to go back